the last thing you have to do is connect the ends of your wires. So each wire has its own type of connections. All the USB around the lower part of the van gets a blade terminal. The lights get this type of connector, and the fans get connected directly with butt connectors. So I'm just going to connect this one up as an example, and then all the other ones follow in the same fashion. There you go. So we have 4 different terminals total. We have auxiliary caps for anything you don't use. We have single-sided plugs for the outlets on the passenger side. We have double-sided plugs for the outlets on the driver's side. Okay, we're going to start here with the light connections. We got one of these taken care of already. They're getting these waterproof plugs on them. So we're going to go ahead and set that up. Alright, now we're going to move to the fans. Something to know about the kit is you only have 2 connectors like this, and they both go to the lights on either side of this rip. So they'll go right here. Okay, now we're going to do the fan connections, and the fan connections you don't have any extra connectors because they're already attached. So we're just going to connect these 2 together. Now, here's an important part about the fan connectors. The positive wire is actually black. And it's labeled, but just be aware that you're going to connect black to red, and then over here, black to white on the fan. So just pay attention to the positive sign. Alright, and if you've got a second fan, go ahead and move to the rear and do the same thing on the rear fan. So here we have the auxiliary, which is the purple wire. Now, like Chad was saying earlier, you can connect this to a lot of different things, but in this case, we're going to cap it. So it's safely disconnected under the seat box as we went over earlier, but we also want to cap it here. So the way I typically do that is by using these included shielding plugs. And all you're going to do is take one plug, put it over the end of the wire. You don't have to crimp it, and then you heat shrink it. And then do it again on the other side. Just like that. And then you can coil them up with a zip tie and put them in this bay. So down here on the outlet side, on the passenger side, all of your outlets are going to get the single terminals. So we're going to go ahead and put those on. Okay, so we've got the right angle connectors right here, and the key to these is grabbing them with something big from the back and crimping them really tight. So we're going to get this set up like this, feed it in, make sure it's set all the way in, and then crimp down, giving it a really tight squeeze. Do a little check on it, that's good, and then we're going to torch it to shrink it. So here we are at the back of the van on the passenger side, and we're again going to use these right angle connectors for our single outlet connection. And again, you're going to want to grab these from the back with something that can squeeze pretty tight, like these big old pliers. I've already got the wire stripped. You can go ahead and feed these in. Make sure they're seated all the way in there, and then give them a real good crimp. Make sure they're seated all right. You don't have to pull too hard, but make sure it's not going to fall off. Go ahead and we'll do that on the other side. There we go. And then we're just going to torch them to shrink them. And there we go. Now we're going to move to the driver's side. So here we are at the driver rear side of the van, and we're going to put these split connectors on the existing loom. So I've stripped them already. Now we're going to crimp here. Just like that. And then torch them again. Okay, now we're going to move forward and do the same process 2 more times. And now we're at the midship, and we're going to do the exact same thing, putting the split connectors on the factory harness, or the Adventure Wagon harness. Alright, now we're moving to the front. Go. And now we're on the front. Last time we're doing this, we're putting the split connector on the wiring harness. All right, and you're done with your connections. So when you get back here on a 170, these cables are going to be long. And the reason they're long is for the 170 EXT, so that's an option. So what we're going to do is we're going to trim these back, and then we're going to add the split connections that we normally would. So a good length test for me is I take the cable and I stretch it to the bottom of the bay, and then basically I go up the length of the pigtail. So right here, we're going to trim. Then you'll end up with your sheathing and your wire flush. So go ahead and pull your sheathing back a little bit, and then with some electrical tape, we're just going to tape that off. Nice and tight. There's a little extra pooch in your sheathing, that's fine. And then we're going to go ahead and strip and connect like we normally do. We're going to heat shrink. And we're done.